All right, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to completely dismantle the way you probably think about the time you have. See, most of us are walking around with a pretty fundamental misunderstanding of our own lifespans. We treat our days like spare change, easy to toss aside, just assuming there's always going to be plenty more in the bank tomorrow. But today, we're going directly into the source text of The Masterpiece of Today, drawn from Steve Chandler's work on self-motivation. We'll explore exactly why putting off your best self for some imaginary future date is a really dangerous trap, and how shifting your focus entirely to the next 24 hours can, literally, change your life forever.
So let's get into part 1, the smoky train illusion.
Now, before we look at how to fix our perception of time, we kind of have to understand our deeply flawed default setting. Consider this terrifying question. Can today be used as a model to judge your entire life by? I mean, seriously, think about that for a second. If someone followed you around from the exact moment you woke up this morning until you close your eyes and go to bed tonight, and they decided that this exact day perfectly represented who you are, what you care about, and what you're going to achieve, how would you feel? Well, if you're like most of us, you'd probably immediately panic and reject the idea outright. In fact, your reaction would probably be a panicked, "Oh no, it isn't one of my better days. Give me a year or two and I'll live a day, I'm certain of it, that you can use to represent my life." We constantly do this, don't we? We defer our best efforts, our true focus, and our ultimate happiness to the future. We treat today as just a messy, unimportant stepping stone to some pristine, perfect tomorrow that, let's be honest with ourselves here, never actually arrives.
And this brilliantly illustrates what the source material identifies as the smoky train illusion. Basically, this is the false belief that our lives just sort of accumulate over time. We imagine our lives strung together like a long, smoky train. And because of this, we trick ourselves into thinking that we can just hook on new, shiny freight cars later when we're finally feeling right, and we can casually dump the bad, unproductive cars behind us. But here's the massive danger in this illusion. The more we hypnotize ourselves into thinking we have all the time in the world to do what we want to do, the more we literally sleepwalk past life's absolute finest opportunities.
Which brings us to part 2, the John Wooden secret.
Let's introduce a historical legend who completely shattered this smoky train illusion, 10. Now, this isn't just any number. It represents a level of absolute excellence that sports might never, ever see again. This is the unprecedented number of national championships won by John Wooden's UCLA basketball teams in just a 12-year time span. 10 championships in 12 years. It's an almost incomprehensible achievement in any competitive field.
And because of that staggering record, John Wooden is widely considered the most successful college basketball coach of all time. His legacy is utterly untouchable. But what's really fascinating here is the core of his methodology. You might expect a complex, strategic genius operating miles ahead of everyone else. But a major portion of his coaching, and honestly his entire philosophy for living, came from a single, simple sentence passed on to him by his father when Wooden was just a little boy.
That simple sentence, "Make each day your masterpiece." Let's just let the simplicity of that hang in the air for a moment. Make each day your masterpiece. Wooden knew something profound that most of us completely miss. Life is right now. Life is not later on. He realized that waiting for the future to be great was a fundamental mistake.
When we compare these two mindsets directly, the contrast is just stark. We have the smoky train, that exhausting trap of accumulating life for later, constantly waiting for the perfect moment. And then we have the masterpiece, the profound realization that life is happening right now. So the absolutely crucial point we take away from the author here is that true self-motivation doesn't come from some vague hope of what you'll be in 5 years. Self-motivation flows directly from the importance we attach to today.
Okay, moving on to part 3, practice like a championship.
We're going to see exactly how Wooden applied this practically to create an unstoppable dynasty. While other coaches would constantly try to gear their players up toward important, high-stakes games in the future, John Wooden wildly differed from his peers. He always focused entirely on today. He treated every single UCLA practice session as being every bit as important as a national championship game. He completely refused to let his players defer their excellence to a later date. His fundamental philosophy was that there was absolutely no reason not to make today the proudest day of your life. None. Think about the power of that standard. In Wooden's mind, there was no logical reason not to play as hard in a random Tuesday afternoon practice as you do in an actual televised game. I mean, why wait for the cameras and the crowd to be at your absolute best?
The ultimate goal for every single player was to go to bed each night with this exact thought in their head. Today, I was at my best. That was the singular standard of success for him, not the scoreboard, not the future trophy, but the honest reflection at the exact end of a single day. If you could truthfully say that phrase before going to sleep, well, you had successfully painted your masterpiece.
And finally, part 4, life in miniature.
So, how do we actually apply a legendary basketball coach's standard to our own personal transformation? Well, the key might surprise you. It is not an all-or-nothing game. It's a work in progress. You don't have to quit your job, move to a mountain, and reinvent your entire identity overnight. Transformation is actually found in your willingness to do very tiny things, but to do them today. A little touch here and there is what makes your day great. It's the small, immediate, purposeful actions that matter, not those grand, delayed promises we make to ourselves.
So, the absolutely crucial concept to internalize here is the microcosm. Today is your entire life in miniature. A single day isn't just a random fraction of your existence or a disposable ticket you can afford to throw away on the smoky train. It's a true reflection, a microcosm of your whole life. How you spend your hours is exactly how you spend your life. Make the day great, and therefore, the life is great. To really cement this, consider the philosophy of a life in a day. Step 1. You were born when you wake up. Step 2. You die when you go to sleep. The source material argues that our days were actually designed exactly this way so that we could literally live a whole life in a single day. You get a completely fresh start every single morning and a definitive conclusion every night. You don't need a year or two to live a representative day. You have a full lifetime available to you starting right now, today. Which brings us to a vital question I want you to carry with you as soon as this explainer wraps up. What tiny thing will you do today to paint your masterpiece? It's time to stop sleepwalking past life's finest opportunities. It's time to uncouple from that smoky train and stop waiting for some perfect tomorrow to finally show up before you give your best effort. If your entire existence was judged solely by the 24 hours in front of you right now, what will you create? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep focusing on today, and I'll catch you next time.